Hey there. So it's been kind of a minute since I've done an update vlog on here on my music page. I actually just got done pre-recording the my Halloween episode for my After Hours podcast, which I soft launched on the first of this month, and I've also I kind of launched the YouTube channel where I actually talk about my other interests besides my music and history and all that stuff. Although there's still some history elements of the After Hours channel because we do talk a lot about like supernatural, paranormal stuff on there, and there's a lot of history that also goes with that as well. So I do have some historical stuff on there, but I just got done recording what will be the Halloween episode. Which will be the Halloween episode will be the official launch of the podcast, whereas I've soft launched it, like I said, at the beginning of this month to coincide with my 31 days of Halloween on that podcast and my After Hours vlogging channel, and I'll be doing 25 days of Christmas there too. But just got done chatting with Hannah, or Halloween Town as she's known. She does Halloween 365, so I thought that would just be so fitting to have her on for the Halloween episode and the official big launch of the podcast. But you can still listen to some episodes that I've included with the soft launch, and those are actually getting way more downloads than I thought they would. And just like, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. If if you're among those people, I appreciate you. Definitely, like I said, for a soft launch, I think the downloads are pretty good. So it just makes me look forward to the full-on launch on Halloween, because I do want the anniversary to that podcast to always be on Halloween. But in doing that, it actually really has been making me think about where I want to take the Bonfires and Castles podcast, which, as you know, if you follow me here, that's more geared toward history and more Celtic and fantasy themes. And my After Hours podcast is more toward paranormal stuff like fashion and makeup, although I do a little bit of that on here too. But it's a little bit different on there. It's kind of like I said, all my other interests, and especially all things spooky. But it's really been making me think about where I want to take the Bonfires and Castles podcast, because I decided to put it on a little bit of a hiatus in October, save for the episodes that I already had in the queue, and then relaunch it in November, which I'm still going to do. But I've really been thinking about where I want to take that podcast, and just the whole Bonfires and Castles theme. Because like I said, it has the theme for that is history and a lot of Celtic and fantasy themes. However, especially with the historical aspects, I don't know, I just felt it was getting a little stale, which is one reason why I decided to put it on a bit of a hiatus until November, because I want it to be more than just talking about what happened during a certain historical event. Meaning, like, for example, this is what happened when Richard III went out onto the battlefield at the Battle of Bosworth, and then this happened, and then that happened. I want it to be like, I want it, I don't want it to be just that. Number one, because there are already, and there are already a ton of really, really amazing podcasts, really, really amazing historians and authors that already do that and do it very well. So I've just been just kind of thinking about, how can I put my own like unique spin on it, and doing this after hours channel and podcast and expanding that and getting that situation situated. Sorry, I'm kind of tired right now, but I just wanted to like talk about this while it was like on my heart. Um, it's really been an eye opener to what possibilities I can have with bonfires and castles. Like, for instance, a lot of people really seem to enjoy my reviews because I have been like reviewing some of like the spooky movies that have been coming out. A lot of people seem to enjoy my reviews, which, okay, yeah. And that's one thing I wanted to do more of on bonfires and castles. I do one of the first episodes when I come back, when that comes back from its hiatus, is reviewing the book The King's Mother, which is a historical fiction novel about Cecily, who was also like Richard III's mother, Edward IV's mother. And basically about the women that were also behind the Wars of the Roses. And I want it to, like I said, just be more than just talking about like the historical events. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like there's already a lot of really amazing people doing that and doing a great job of it. So it's just kind of like, how can I put my own spin on it? And again, a lot of people seem to be enjoying like the way like I do reviews on the After Hours channel. So I'm kind of making a note of that. Also, I've had a lot of people throughout the last couple of years, and and even like very recently, like say that I have a very good like storytelling, like I'm good at storytelling. So I'm keeping that in mind too. And even when because even when writing my album, my Wars of the Roses album, I didn't really want it to be like a play by play of what happened. I wanted to capture, the different emotions of, based on like what we know and the information that we have on these individuals. Like say, for instance, with my song Winter's King, with Henry, which is about Henry VII, I really wanted to capture, how he was feeling at the end of his life, especially after the death of Elizabeth of York, his wife. And I actually, before I officially released it, I ended up rewriting all the lyrical content because I just wasn't happy with how it was. Like, to me, it just seemed too, and then this happened and then that happened. And I wanted to capture, okay, what might have he been thinking during this time, like toward the end of his life after Elizabeth of York passed away. And, and I was happy with the musical composition, but I wasn't happy with the original lyrical content. I didn't think it did the musical composition justice, and I didn't think it did Henry VII justice. So I rewrote the song, and and that's what the song Winter's King that we have right now. Same thing with Lost Autumn, my Richard III song. And I took the approach of he wakes up in the afterlife after the Battle of Bosworth, and then is rejoined by his father and his brothers, and even Rise of the Falcon. It was like, just really trying to get as much into the perspective of Anne Boleyn as possible. So like, yeah, like I really, one thing I aim to do is really capture like the human experience as much as we can, because obviously nobody knows what these people were thinking except for these people. But we can, make some educated guesses based off of some of their contemporary accounts, and also, and also even just like looking at it from the perspective of a person, like how would you feel if you were in that situation? So even like I said, even in writing my album based on the Wars of the Roses, like I don't want it to just be like a play by play of like, okay, this happened and then that happened. So I've really been trying to capture the human experience. Now, the only song where that might actually happen is on a song called The Final Battle, which is about the Battle of Bosworth. And I'm actually considering having two male singers come in and do the parts of and sing the parts of Richard III and Henry Tudor, because he wasn't Henry VII yet. And then I'm singing kind of like I'm like the narrator. But even with that, like I would still want to capture, okay, what might Henry Tudor have been thinking, based on what we know and the information that we have, and Richard III, what might he have been thinking, and feeling, what was going through him, based on what we know and the information that we have. So, I've really been thinking about that in terms of my Bonfires and Castles podcast, as well as my my Tavern Livestreams. Now, with that, I'm thinking of turning it into something like, I think it's called like what's the name I came up with? I think came up with like something called the Tavern Chats. I'll have to look at my notes again, but like the Tavern Chats or something like that. Or I'll have to, like I said, I'll have to look at my notes again. I'm really tired, but I just wanted to like just kind of get on and like talk about that while I was, just while I was thinking about it, while it was on my mind. And yeah, and I do plan to do some new stuff with Bonfires and Castles once it launches again. And, I also look forward to sharing like snippets of new songs from the Wars of the Roses album, which still has yet to be titled. But I have a couple options in mind, but nothing solid yet. So, but there's just I think just a lot to look forward to. And like I said, I look forward to, just seeing where I can take Bonfires and Castles, especially now that I've launched After Hours. And that's really been kind of an eye opener to where my strengths are as far as like podcasting and storytelling and all of that. So yeah, but that's just what I wanted to get on and talk about here really quick. So all right. So I am going to just kind of chill for the rest of the night and edit my podcast, my Halloween episode with Halloween Town. I do still have some of the spooky ambiance going on from the podcast episode, but but all right. Well, I look forward to bringing you more, and just thank you so much for being